right. So, I think I was actually talking to Anthony before the game. Certainly you take the field there, you run out of the tunnel, you go to your sideline. Anthony's warming up there before the game. And I think to me, what I said to him, I think applies to our entire team and organization is that urgency that you feel right now, right, okay, hey, I want to perform. I want to do my job to the best of my ability for the team. We need that same level of urgency between now and the first opportunity in the fall, right? So every day, each opportunity that we have to improve the off-season program this summer, every meeting, every walkthrough rep, every practice rep, we've got to take full advantage of. Players, they all want to play good, when they got a lot of eyes on them, right? And I think more importantly here, what we've got to learn is it's about what we do when nobody's watching, right? The discipline that we live life with, the integrity that we approach things with, certainly the effort. We got a ways to go in that area. I do want to compliment our fans. I want to compliment our student body. And certainly, Thursday night, right, football, Gainesville, Florida, it was electric out there. I think even better than I expected, to be honest with you. But I'm very thankful for the support. We made a decision to move the game. They rallied behind that. They showed up, and we had a great group of recruits here today as well, and hopefully we can capitalize from that. But, I think this is a little bit of a midterm exam, in my opinion, right? We've worked our way through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and now we get to kind of regroup, assess where we're at. Our players are getting ready to move into what we call reload period, discretionary period. We'll have exit meetings. We'll talk about strengths and weaknesses, things to work on. And there'll be a very specific plan for our team to improve, right? I'm very pleased with what I've observed up until this point, but we are certainly not content with what we have done. So, going forward here, it's about improvement, right? And I think tonight was a great opportunity to learn. We can learn from the things that we did well, the things that we can do better, and we've got to focus on improvement from this point forward. So what questions do we have here?
All right, we're going to open up with that here. You already touched on a bunch. Just the move to Thursday, how it worked out. But Anthony, how do you think he came out? He looked comfortable from the start, and do you think he functioned well, like in the offense that you asked about?
I think Anthony's a production of a lot of hard work, right? I can't say it enough. His approach has been first class, right? I think when I think about a quarterback, right, we think about a person who represents everything the organization is about, right? Certainly at the highest level of football, the quarterback is the face of the organization. They set the greatest example. Their work ethic, their attention to detail, their self-discipline, their approach. So he's a product of his work. He's learned a new system. And, standing behind him out there, it wasn't too big for him. He communicated well, and the ball went where it was supposed to go. He was accurate. The players around him played well, right? The pocket was clean. Guys made play on the ball, and it's a good day, and I think to win, you need good quarterback play, right? You need good quarterback efficiency, and certainly he played well tonight.
DeJuan Black, just his level of activity and how much impact has he had this spring in growth?
Yeah, what you see out there is what we've been observing each day. The guy's got some height and length. He's very instinctive, right? Even when he's wrong a little bit, he can make it right and oftentimes makes plays. He is productive on a consistent basis, right? And, one thing I would say about DeJuan Black, during the identity program, I wrote his name down multiple days where he's, probably the gold standard when it came to effort in the program. The guy's really bought in. And, I will say this. He's completely changed his reputation in the building, relative to his attitude, his work ethic, how he goes about his business. And he's really academically had a decent semester. He needs to continue to work hard, but I'm very pleased. I mean, what you see out there today is what we observe every day in practice. So, it's amazing to me how a guy that's physically gifted, we got a lot of physically gifted, we got talent, right? But it's about who you are as a person, right? I firmly believe better people make better football players, right? If we can focus on the intangibles and these guys live life the right way and go about things the right way, football will come. And I think he's a good example of that.
Gary Whitley.
If this was a midterm exam of sorts, could you give it a grade, overall grade, this team, or just make offense grade, defense grade?
Yeah, that's a hypothetical, And the good thing is we don't actually have to give a grade, right? So I think it's more of an assessment.
Say what impressed you and didn't impress you, just in general?
Say it again.
Just what impressed you and what didn't impress you, perhaps?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I can't compliment the players' work ethic enough, their competitive spirit. One thing about this group now, you put the ball down, they're going to compete, and I think tonight you could see that a little bit. So, the practice field has been full of emotion, full of energy. There's passion. We've got to funnel all that towards execution, poise, discipline. I think that's where we need to make progress. I think they want to do well. We've got to channel all that energy and emotion into the things that will help them play better. And, ultimately it's about doing your job when it counts, right? So our job as coaches is to recreate the game in practice. And we've got some work to do, to help this group get where they want to go.
Matt Baker.
Hey, Billy. You obviously knew Montrell well and know him well. What have you kind of seen from him as he's adjusted to this new environment like you?
Yeah, Montrell's extremely bright. He picks things up quickly. Certainly, it was a very productive back for us last year. I think rushed, 800 or 900 yards. Was the conference player of the year. He belongs out there. I think he's 5'11 and a half. He weighs 217 pounds. He hit 21.5 miles an hour last year in a game on his GPS. So he's got a big lower half. He's got contact balance. He can protect. He can catch. And I think that, like at a point right there at the end, we had two running backs get injured. Lingard had a hamstring. Ortiz had a knee. We're sitting out there. What if we didn't have Montrell Johnson out there, right? So I think that's where we were able to take advantage of the portal, bring in a player that allowed us to practice, right? We'll be excited to get Naquan back. He's certainly going to bring something to our team. But, Montrell is what the doctor ordered, and certainly is going to provide depth and production for our team.
Obviously, there's going to be another wave of portal entries and everything here in the next couple of weeks. What are the kind of parts of the team that you expect to hit most of the portal?
I don't know if that's a question I would answer in this setting, but I think we're looking for players that can make our team better. I think from a personnel standpoint, in everything that we do, right, we want to make every decision in the best interest of the team, right? So, there'll be an opportunity. I don't necessarily think we'd turn down any good player, a player that can get into our two deep and make our team better. That's what we're looking for.
Nate Galatori.
A lot of fan attention to the turnover chain, and it looked like Weston had another touchdown chain. Just what are those, and what do they mean to the players? And
turnover chain.
I think Donovan McMillan had like a chain around his neck after his interception.
Yeah, nobody ran that by me. So that won't be happening.
Sorry to break news.
Yeah.
The defense in the first half, it looked like Anthony and the ones were able to kind of move the ball, and then they kind of, I guess, made some adjustments at halftime. Just what did you see from your defense? What was your assessment?
Yeah, I thought they responded, I think, I told each one of those guys when we were handing out awards, some of those leaders on defense, hey, look, we need to respond here and go get some stops. And certainly the staff did a great job of changing it up a little bit in the second half. But, yeah, I think that ultimately, this game uncovers things that you need to work on, right? So we got to handle adversity a little bit better. And at halftime, they had a chance to do that. We had a chance for our players to lead, our coaches to adjust. It was good to see that, right? But you think about how the game went, right? The orange team turned the ball over, right? The orange team had more penalties, right? The blue team took care of the ball. They played with poise and discipline, right? I mean, we're going to look at this tape, and it's going to be a microcosm of every football game that we'll play next fall, right? So, you got to take care of the ball. You got to play the situations really well. Fundamentally, you got to be sound in what you do. And then the blue team made some explosive plays. They were aggressive. And they finished possessions, whereas the orange team didn't, right? They missed the field goal, then they turn it down, turn it over in the red area. So that game's different if the orange team executes, scores touchdowns in the red area, doesn't turn the ball over, right? I mean, these are simple things, but they're hard to do consistently.
Thomas Goldkamp.
Yeah, Billy, your two leading receivers were tight ends tonight. Is that surprising to you, or are you not surprised based on the way those guys have stepped up this spring?
Yeah, it's a significant stat right there. I think first thing I would say is Dante Zanders. You can immediately see where he's got a future. I can't compliment him enough. I mean, he's been the story of the spring. I mean, heck, we get 3 scholarship tight ends injured out for the spring, 3, 4, 5 practices in. We move him over from defense, and the guy picked it up quickly. He did the extra. I mean, I saw him around the facility more than some of our coaches. He was in there grinding away, and he has ability. I mean, the guy's 6'5" and a quarter. He weighs 260 pounds. He's loose. He can transition. He's got good ball skills. Most importantly, he's smart and he's consistent, right? And the guy is heavy-handed at the point of attack. I mean, he's a godsend, And not only did he make the move, but that guy will be running out there. He's going to make a lot of plays for us. So extremely pleased with Dante.
Andy Staples.
You were talking about pulling guys out of the portal if they can help you, but also the better people make better players. How do you kind of reconcile those two things when you've got maybe a day, maybe a few hours to decide we need to be in on this guy or not? How do you do that research?
Typically I would say that there's some sort of relationship with most of these kids, a pre-existing relationship. You have knowledge of the player. Maybe someone in the building recruited the player. Someone in the building is connected to the area. But you're right. It is a challenge. What you're describing there is exactly what happens every day in our building, right? A guy goes in or a guy, rumor mill starts swirling. This guy's going in. That's why we have an entire group of people in the back. That's what they do every day, right? So Bird Sherrill and Chase Clark and that crew, they're working on college personnel every day, right? So, and sometimes they may do a ton of work on a guy and then, hey, it never pans out. But it is a quick time frame for an evaluation that typically you have a lot of time to do, right? So I think it's a fair point that you're bringing up, and it's one that that you got to be careful with, right? Because you can't make a mistake. So far, the players that we've added to our team, we had a connection with them before they got here. I think that's what you're going to see for the most part going forward. But for me, I'm much like you're describing. I want to make sure that we check all the boxes before we make a decision. It's a really good question.
We just have time for a few more. We have players waiting, so we'll do one per person so we can get some questions. We'll go to Mark Long.
Just curious, you were standing behind the quarterbacks. That's not usually you usually have your hands a little bit dirtier. Is that a unusual role for you? Is it kind of weird being back there and not being in on the play calls?
No, I mean, that's where I stand at practice every day. So, it's good to hear the communication. I think that's the important part. You get to hear the quarterback, the center, kind of the inside-out communication, the signal caller on defense. I always like to see the play from the quarterback's perspective so I can give him feedback right away. And, you know, it helps me too, right? Because I can see where, okay, hey, that was a challenge or an obvious mistake, whatever the case may be. So, you know, we're in the room with those guys every day. And certainly today was much like practice, except for I didn't know the play. You know, so I'm back there, you know, processing the defense and certainly listening to what's being called. And sometimes you know what's getting ready to happen. But, yeah, and the staff did a fantastic job today. I mean, we played relatively clean. Both sides operated well for the most part, and we managed some difficult situations depth-wise out there tonight.
Did you consider calling plays for a dress rehearsal in the swamp yourself?
No, I mean, I think in our spring game, we've had 2 scrimmages, and that's where you iron out the wrinkles, and certainly you could see tonight that we know what we're doing. So, you know, that day's coming. We'll get a couple more scrimmages in the preseason camp. And, you know, the scripting process is, for the most part, like calling the game. So, you know, it's a good experience for some of the people in our organization that maybe haven't called plays or are future play callers. I think that there's a lot to learn. You know, I can remember back to Alabama being the receiver coach. I mean, I look forward to the spring game because I got to call the plays that day. So, you know, the guys on our staff, and then I can look at them and to say, hey, it's not as easy as you thought, you know. So, but pretty easy when 15's back there throwing it around. So let's get him up here, okay, and let y'all talk to him. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Coach.